generation does. So we're always gonna have this fucking conflict.
I agree.
You know,
I agree, bro. 100%.
we're all mad at each other. All right, really quick, we're here. Boom.
Circling above.
I got how's the energy.
Don't even know my name.
Hey, just did a meeting. Got a chance to meditate. We're back at it. Back at it.
Got no shame. Some line to shine.
So let's do some housekeeping. So if you're listening, rate the podcast, please. That helps us with our ranking in iTunes and Spotify and all that. So rate, comment, share it. We appreciate you. Shout out to all the black clothing companies that have been supporting Crowned with Excellence, Third Eye Collection, Snoop Proof, the Snoop Proof bags, always hooking it up. Shout out to them. Go to the YouTube channel, Big Mood TV. If you're only listening, you can watch these podcasts on there. And yeah, share it. We love what we're doing. So let's get into it, man. We had technical difficulties earlier, but we have Michael Flix in here, owner of Flix Media Network, founder of the Family Room podcast, and on the mic with Michael Flix. He does a bunch of shit. Content creator. What's good, man?
I'm doing good, bro. Glad I'm in here. Glad we got to take two and we go get it right this time. Happy to be here, bro.
Dope. So tell people about yourself. Tell people the origin of, Flix Media and we'll just start there to get the ball rolling.
I hear it's funny when I was thinking about, because I knew that was going to be like one of the first things I spoke about. I've told different variations of this story, and they're all true, but like the real start of it is, so I took a video production class in high school, and I loved it. Shout out to my mom for always encouraging me to try different things outside of sports. And one of the things that I wanted to try was video production my senior year in high school as an elective. And I did it. And my teacher, Mr. Copo, he actually graduated from NYU, and he went to school with Adam Sandler.
Okay, dope.
Yeah, so he used to tell the stories about like everybody else would be partying, and Adam Sandler would be like studying and working on stuff. And that's why like he became who he is.
That's why it's Adam Sandler.
But yeah, he taught us a lot of dope stuff, man. And like he made me like really fall in love with like, shooting and editing, really. And so much so that I would talk about it so much and how much fun I was having in the class. And my mom bought me a camera, and still wasn't really like much storytelling or too much content creation with it. It was really just me and my friends out front making dunk videos on the hoop in the driveway or in the parking lot. And then it was the same time when Ashton Kutcher's Punks was a really big show, so we'd just be making like little Punks videos in the neighborhood, knocking on people's doors and stuff like that. But even I graduated high school in 2006. I probably stopped doing that around like 2007 really, and I was pretty much done with it until and see what I was saying earlier was like I was shooting videos on my phone when I was training, because I was a basketball coach and trainer. And so I was doing that. But the real reason I actually like picked up like a professional camera is because my wife is a hairdresser, and she started collaborating with different black hair care products to like showcase their products, and she wanted like to have really crisp and nice pictures. Yeah. So she bought a camera, and I went with her to go and get it, and she drove back, and I'm playing with it in the car, and I was like, I'm gonna do some things with this too. And that's really like what started me on the path that I'm on now. Like I was kind of, like I said, I took the video production class and I did things like that, but it really my content creation really started when my wife bought that camera, and I kind of stole it and kind of started doing my thing with it.
Dope. Those origin stories, to see where the creativity starts, and then to see where it is now. That's always tight to watch. And I think we always, when we're doing this, I got to remember that. Like we got started in some shitty ass, and then you watch the transition. That's tight. So let's talk about the podcast first, and then we'll talk about other content you create. Okay. So tell people about the Family Room podcast.
The Family Room podcast is a podcast that I started with my older brother Stefan. I just wanted to do a podcast. I've always been a talker. I've always, talked too much. I think out loud. I'm always like the one that just says stuff and people are like, what? So I think out loud. I say stuff all the time, and I just wanted a podcast. And also I was like watching like other people, like not really podcasts yet, but like radio personalities kind of give their point of view on things. And I was like, that'd be kind of cool to do. And then also kind of the origin of the Family Room podcast. My brother and I, we graduated high school the same year. And so we have pretty much all the same friends, a lot of the same friends anyway. And no matter where we were, whether we were like after school hanging out in the parking lot or like after being men, like after an adult like flag football game, no matter where we were, me and my brother and my friends, we'd stand around and talk. And groups of people would just stand around and listen to us talk and just laugh and not like a lot of time not even chime in on the conversation. Just sit around and be entertained by our conversation. And I was like, we should like film this and like make a thing of it.
Definitely.
And then podcasting became a thing. This is back in like 2013 or 14.
Oh, yeah.
But my friends didn't really want to do it.
You're
They're
up
like,
on it early, bro.
I was, and because I was really into the Breakfast Club at the time.
Yeah.
And Charlemagne on there, he started a podcast, and I was listening to his podcast, and a lot of the stuff it was a little bit too out there for me, but I still liked it. I still listened, and I was like, these two are doing what me and my friends have always done, and people have always stood around and just listened and laughed and were engaged by the conversation that I was having with my brothers and my brother and my friends. Yeah. And so we should just do it. But my friends, they didn't really see the point of it really. Yeah. And I remember even one time after I had like a little camcorder, and we were sitting around talking, and at my brother's house, and I remember I put the camcorder like on the counter, just like pointed at everybody, and I hit record on my phone and like just kind of sat it on the table, and everybody's looking at me like, bro, like what? Why are you recording us? Right? Like, what are you doing? It's just kind of weird.
It is kind of weird.
You record somebody without,
especially black folks,
right?
Like
exactly. Like, bro, what are you doing right now? Turn that off. But even still, like, I even told them, like, bro, we should do a podcast. We always stand around and talk. People always like enjoy what we talk about. We should do a podcast, but they didn't really get it. And I kept so I started doing one on my own. It's called My Hood Fatherhood. After I had my son 4 years ago, my oldest son is 4, and I was pretty much I would sit in my son's room before like my son got home from daycare and my wife got home from work. And I would just do a podcast myself, just recording into my phone and posting it on SoundCloud. But it wasn't really, like I said, I wanted to have a conversation, like I said, with my brother and my friend. So it was cool, but it didn't really like scratch the itch that I needed. You know what I mean? And so I kept like bugging my brother about it, and he finally did it. And it's funny to where like when we finally started doing the podcast and like posting clips, and then it got to full videos on YouTube and stuff like that, then my friends started saying like, oh, that he finally did what he was talking about doing. That's pretty cool. And then they started coming, being on episodes of the podcast. And now, like, you know, the podcast, I mean, we don't have like hundreds of thousands of listeners like that. No. But we got a steady fan base of people that look forward to our content, and it's fun, man. I like being a podcaster.
Yeah, me too, dude. I love it more than I love most of the other shit I do. 'Cause I do a bunch of shit, but like this is my favorite thing to do because it's just hearing people's experience, man. And I think it's so important. And shout out to all the other black podcasts in San Diego, the Graduate Podcast, Living Millennial, and both you and I. If there's any I'm missing, I'd love to collaborate. Come on, let's talk about it. But being black people in the podcast space is important because I feel like people don't they don't have that bug in our house, in our homes, and in our personal conversations. We're only portrayed or people only know about us from the periphery. So that's what I try to do on mine. Is this is the mind of a black man here. This is this is a conversation between black men, and it's not competitive. There's no ego here. This is just two black men talking about what they love doing.
100%.
And I think you doing that with the Family Room podcast, just plugging in and let people listen to like the behind the scenes of just our culture, and we're representing our culture naturally. We're not saying it. We're not saying that we're representing it. We're just being ourselves.
Exactly.
But giving people like that bug that they're listening.
Let them be the fly on the wall.
Exactly. The fly on the wall, just like, okay, word. I feel that. And most times, and I feel like humans are experiencing the same shit. Black, white, gay, straight. I feel like we're experiencing a lot of the same stuff. We're just saying it differently or dating a different gender, but we're love and suffering and pain and growth. These are all things we're all experiencing. So to speak on that and share your own experience, it makes it okay for other people to speak on theirs. And to see black men do it is so largely valuable because we're not known for this. This is not, and Charlemagne's known for being loud and out there, but even he doesn't talk about the deep stuff, and provide that. So I want to affirm you on that. So where do you want to see the Family Room podcast go? Like what are your predictions for it?
That's a good question. When I think about that sometimes, my goal, I didn't want to be do a podcast to start making money from it. Although if it happened, that'd be amazing.
That'd be tight.
My goal really is just to continue to grow the value of it, for the video quality to continue to get better, for the audio to continue to get better, and for just for more and more people to listen, for more and more people to chime in, because we have fun talking about drama with our wives, or we have fun talking about little petty frivolous things, but we also have deep meaningful conversations. It's not like this super it's not this super deep podcast where you come and you're gonna be like, it's like this tug on your heart or anything like that. It's literally just like I met my friend that I do the podcast with. I met him in 7th grade. It's literally just a couple of childhood friends that get together once a week and just talk. That's really what it is. And so my goal for the podcast, to answer the question, was just for it to be for as many people, to reach as many people as possible, and to just continue to share from the perspective of, young Black married dude.
Yeah, that's an important perspective. There's San Diego attracts these kind of Black folks. A lot of straight edge kind of Black folks that have wives and children, and that's important to portray that, because so many we take care of our kids too. We raise our children too, and we love our wives, and we.
Bro, since I got married, I told my brother, my older brother. Excuse me, you're right about that.
Yeah, I told you.
I'm younger. I'm the middle of 3 boys. I have 2, an older brother and a younger brother. And my younger brother's not married. My older brother is, and I got married before him. And I remember telling him when he wasn't married, I feel like it's my duty as a married man when I'm not gonna lie, and if me and my wife are beefing, I'm gonna portray everything is all rosy.
Yeah.
But I feel like I have a duty to show people that being married and being in a committed relationship is dope and it's fun.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a duty to that, because you always there's so many stigmas of us that we're not faithful to our women, or that we don't take care of our children, you know what I mean? And so I feel like I have a duty to show every time I'm how to marry, bro, it's dope, bro. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Even if me and my wife aren't all the way cool right now, that doesn't mean I don't love being married.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And even if we are beefing, it ain't really none of your business anyway. So when you ask me how is the married life, I'm gonna tell you the married life is dope, because it is. It's gonna be hard at times, but being married for me anyway is dope.
Yeah, it is dope. The intact family structures is dope, and I do feel that same responsibility raising 2 boys. Raising 2 boys and then breaking the stereotype of Black promiscuity and just this broken household, because that is not our history. That is a piece of time due to circumstances, not our nature. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't that way when my parents were growing up. There was structure in the black home.
Absolutely.
So it's important to show that, we love our fucking kids, and talk about that on a microphone. So I commend you for doing that.
Appreciate that, bro.
Sharing a perspective. I think we need more Black perspectives, audio. Just listening to us.
I agree.
When people, a lot of my white friends ask me during this civil rights movement that we're in, they're like, what can I do? They're like, what can I do to? I'm like, just get to know Black people. And I'm not saying just be friends with them, but get to know us the way I know you. I know all about white history, all about it. Get to know my perspective, get to know my relationship to my family, what it's like for me raising kids, because I know through pop culture, through my textbooks, through every experience, I know exactly how white people are in this country, and I feel like there's a dissonance of understanding really how the Black experience. So you're doing that.
That's a great answer. And I remember as far as telling your white friends, just get to know Black people, because for me, and I remember even speaking about it on my podcast. I mean, I had a few people oh, that's not the right thing to say, but I remember saying, being an ally, we need as many allies as we can get.
For sure.
Don't get that twisted. But I was coming from the standpoint of I'm out here doing what I got to do for my people. If you want to help, then go find a way to help. Go educate yourself. Don't ask me. That's a much better answer. That's a much, much better answer.
My answer is better?
Absolutely. Your answer is much better. Just get to know Black people, and then you'll know what to do.
Well, on this podcast, I've explored many angles of this experience. I've navigated it on a microphone, because there's parts of me that thinks Master's not going to save me. The white man is not ever going to come save the day. They haven't done it so far. We've been begging for peace for how long, and it just hasn't come.
Right.
And I don't think they're going to change all of a sudden.
Right.
I don't,
Exactly.
So part of me feels that way as well. Fuck it. I got to do what I can do for my family and my generations and in my sphere of influence. So part of me feels that way, but then there are allies. We need all the allies we can, that we can have, and being an ally is just being familiar with me and understanding me and looking at me and my life just as the way I look at yours.
Absolutely.
All my homies are from different ethnicities, and they're just my homies. I don't think of them in any. I don't have any weird thoughts towards them. They're just my homies.
Right.
So you look at me the same way, So there's plenty of ways to navigate this situation. I don't think we're supposed to have the right answers. But in this time, let's just go there. In this time, how have you handled this movement that we're in right now?
I've been, at first I was trying to just consume everything, which is not the best strategy in my opinion. But I was just trying to, because I always come from the standpoint of I need all the information, because if I'm going to speak on it, I need to have as much information as possible and be as informed as possible. I tell people I typically don't speak on things unless I've done a little bit of education. I actually got in trouble with my sister-in-law, my wife's or my brother's wife, because I was speaking about the whole like Native people and the mascots and stuff like that, and I just was giving opinion without any real facts in it. But anyway, I've just been trying to get as much information as I can, but I've had to take a step back from that just because it gets overwhelming seeing all the videos and reading every single article. But I've been trying to stay informed, but also stay somewhat distant. I would have liked to have gone out and been a part of some protests, but I had a baby in May, and so it just wasn't a smart decision to be out.
Yeah.
So really what I've been doing is just talking to, because I have I'm on the high school basketball scene, so I have a lot of like young kids that I don't want to say follow me, but listen to some of the things that I say. So I've been just trying to give a little bit of instruction and direction to them. And really just been diving into Black business. I felt guilty really that I couldn't go out and protest and that I couldn't go out and be like with my people. And I was already spending my money within my community anyway, but just in light of all this, I've been like really diving into it. Like the hat I got on is Black on, this hoodie I have on is Black on, like everything. I
saw your post today.
Yeah, like I try to just been diving into any and all Black business, anything I see, anything that I buy, I share, I let people know. So that's what I've been doing. It's not much, and it's not as much as I would like to do, but it's what I can do right now.
Yeah, and there's room for every role in this, and I feel like a lot of us felt pressure to have a certain response. So, I reached out to like my elders and my leaders and was like, so what do we do? And a lot of us stood still. A lot of us, like when we saw that George Floyd thing, we were like, okay, it's okay to pause right now and have a moment, and everybody has a lane. I got family who are within politics. They're changing policy. I have family that are within academia. They're changing the perspective in academia. And then I get to speak here. You get to speak on the microphone. You get to be the James Baldwin. James Baldwin wasn't the Medgar Evers. He wasn't the Malcolm X. He was the storyteller. And that's a role to play too. And that's, so, it doesn't have to be in the street. My girl was like, I don't really want you out there. We got little kids at home.
Same.
Last thing you need to do is be getting arrested or shot in the face with smoke grenade or whatever, or any of all the bad things that could have happened, or shot by the police, of course. So
right.
So that just wasn't my lane. My mom said the same thing. She was like, that's not where you're supposed to be. But we get to show up. Black people, we are allowed to show up however we want to show up. So if that means buying and supporting Black business, that you have earned the right to for that to be your fucking response.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's fine. Any way we want to respond is positive, as long as it's not destructive. As long as it's not destructive. But I ask people, brothers and sisters that come on the podcast, how they're feeling, because it's been a heavy time. It's been a heavy time, and I said it early when all this started going on, that white people are going to fall off, and this is not going to be popping to them. But we still got to walk around in Black bodies.
That's a fact.
So I ask people, how you doing, or like how you holding up?
That's real.
Because we're still walking around this way, and this is all of this is still very real to me, and relevant to me, despite it not being popular anymore. But we can move off from the heavy stuff. So talk about On the Mic with Michael Flix. Talk about it.
On the Mic with Michael Flix is a sports, and it's funny, it's an internet radio show, a sports internet radio show. And it's funny, like everyone says, calls it a podcast, and because obviously podcasts are really prevalent right now, but it's just a radio show. It's not a podcast. Although I grab all the audio before I leave, and I've been thinking I should just put it on all the streaming platforms anyway, like why not?
Yeah.
But it's a sports show that I do really just some highlighting and being a platform for all the sports here in San Diego, for any level, any sport, no matter what, high school to pro to
Yeah.
you know, basketball to badminton to field hockey, whatever it is. Like I just wanted to give a platform for athletes and anybody in the sports and anybody in San Diego, really, because I plan to have anybody like that wants to come on the show, just come and promote what they're doing, just mix it and try to mix in some sports if they can. But really, it's just a platform for the sports scene, the athletic scene here in San Diego to just come and promote games, talk about the big game they had last night or the big game coming up on Friday, just type of thing. You know what I mean? I was always the kid. I played all the sports growing up. I started on my football team at defensive back. But I wasn't like all world. I wasn't like the one that, you know, the whole school knew who they were. And after games, there have been times when like I had a good game, but the quarterback is the man and he had a great game. So everybody's talking to him. And I'd be like, I want somebody to talk to me. Like I want to quote in the newspaper. Like I'm gonna see my stats there, but I want to quote in the newspaper. I want my picture in there sometime. And so now I kind of take that approach with the content that I create. So when I'm at a high school game, I make basketball mixes and stuff too, like at the high school games, because I cover games and stuff. I appreciate that, bro.
Yeah, man.
So when I'm at the games, I try to show up for kids and for teams that typically wouldn't have a cameraman there. And that's the same thing that I do with my show. I try to have people on there, like anybody that wants to come. If you're all world and you want to come to the show, of course, by all means, come to the show. But my show is also for the kid who had 8 points, and his 8 points were significant, but the star on his team had 25 and everybody's talking to him. And he wants to come and talk too. He wants to do an interview too. You know what I'm saying? So that's what my platform is. That's what I want my platform to be. It's for everybody.
Yeah, that's really dope. It's dope that you're giving even at the high school level people a platform to use their voices, not just be an athlete, but here, come on here and express yourself.
Absolutely.
I think we utilize that. We utilize athletes for simply entertainment, but let people speak and let the guy with 8 points shine.
Exactly.
You know, when I played football, I was a defensive end. I wanted to shine too, but it's not about the defense.
Right.
It's about the quarterback and wide receiver. So I feel that, and that's dope. That's dope to just give back to the community and give young people an avenue and let them know I see you. You know what I mean?
And it's funny how that came about because I wanted to do a podcast, but I never necessarily wanted to like be like this big. Like all I do is talk now. Like I set up cameras and microphones. That's all I do now. But I only wanted to do just one podcast. How I ended up with the radio show was there was a guy. I guess I won't give any names or anything, but there was a guy doing a radio show at the station there already. And just pretty much the same way I found your page, just searching hashtags on Instagram, and I came across his page. And actually, the same way I reached out to you, actually, not that your quality was better than his, but I saw like he was doing like full length videos for his interviews, and I saw like that I could help with the quality, and so I reached out and I was like, hey, I could help out with that. I didn't ask didn't ask for any money. I was just like, hey, I can help out with that. Like I feel like you create opportunities and you create pipelines and money will come later. So I didn't say like, hey, I want the money. I was just like, I can help you with that. Yeah. And so he came to my house. We talked about it. Oh no, first he replied to the message and was like, well, like, what are you trying to do, bro? Did you want to be my cameraman or did you want to be like on the show, like a mic on the show? And I just wanted to be a cameraman. But when he asked, I was like, well, since he's asking, I was like, hey, you know what? That'd be cool. Yeah, I'd like to be on the show. He's like, yeah, because I see you do a lot in sports, and I've been wanting to add a sports element, but I'm not really on the sports scene like that, so you could be the sports guy. And so that was how that happened. We literally did one episode. No, we did 2 episodes, and we essentially had a falling out. Oh. And words were exchanged, and it wasn't all the way pleasant, and so we ended up parting ways. And while we were leaving, like I enjoyed doing the 2 episodes, and I had brought guests into the show, like I said, just to provide a platform, and I was getting a good response from it, and I had a lot of fun doing it. Yeah. So I was like, I want to keep doing this. So I reached out to the to the owner of the station. I was like, hey, I know, this situation, I'm not really rocking with him anymore. Is there any possibility? Blah blah. And we worked something out, and I was able to get my own show.
That's dope, man. Yeah. Yeah, that's and you're on the radio. Yeah. That's big time.
Internet radio. It's not like FM or anything, but internet radio.
Still
for sure.
Very cool.
WSRadio.com every Saturday morning at 11.
There you go. That's really cool, man. So talk about Flix Media Network. What other content, like, so we see those are the things, you're like subsidiaries, but what other content creation do you want to be in?
Well, that I've done so far. So I have I have Family Room podcast. There's On the Mic with Michael Flix. I actually have another podcast that started talking about fatherhood. It's called a dad pod. You know, people say like you have a dad bod.
Yeah,
it's called a dad pod. Me and my buddy Dora and my buddy Gio. We all like are new dads. I think my son's the oldest at 4, but we're all the father of just boys.
Yeah,
I'm African American. He's a 6'6" African, and the other one's a Hispanic guy. So it's like a few different perspectives. So I got podcast content like talking head content, I guess you can say, and then I create basketball mixes. I do I cover games from start to finish, like full highlights. These guys did this guy did that. He was the leading scorer. And I also do mixes that have like the cool edits with the music and everything.
Yeah.
And then I've only done one episode of it, but I'm trying to get a consistent series of a thing called Along for the Grind, which is essentially a day in the life series, where I just follow people around with my cameras all day. And I've only done one episode. I did one for a kid named Yassine Grom. He just went to Yale on a basketball scholarship. Wow. Did that with him before one of his big games. That was a lot of fun. I want to do a lot more of that. But really just all kinds of visual content, audio content as well. But as far as like the channel, all kind of video content, visual content, man, like podcasts, shows. I have, like I said, all I do is talk now. I have another show called Link Up with Michael Flix, where I do pretty much what I do at On the Mic with Michael Flix, but it's not sports based. It's I just interviewed a guy named J.A. Young Wealth. He's a rapper. Okay. He's a local artist. I got one coming up with a clothing designer here in San Diego. So I go and link up with people in their space, and let them talk to me about everything that they have going on and promote what they're doing. So all kinds of, any type of visual content is what I want to produce and create and share.
It's the internet, man. I tell my team, my people, I'm like, it's the fucking internet, bro. Just make stuff.
Yep.
Just make stuff.
Yep.
We need more Black and brown content creators.
Absolutely.
And I love how even having 5 even having 5 Black podcasts in San Diego, that's just tight. That's just tight to have that many, even if there's probably more. But to have that many people expressing themselves freely, I take that responsibility on very, it's very heavy responsibility for me. I'm like, people fought and died to fucking let me say whatever fuck I want to say. So let me just be all blackity black, say whatever the fuck I want.
I'm the same way, bro. I'm the same way. I love sharing my POV, and I love hearing and seeing other people do the same. Like I've pretty much become especially now that I'm doing this network and I'm trying to like add shows and add content. I'm the annoying guy that if I hang out with you and talk to you, like if we would have had this conversation, like we'd have just bumped each other at Carl's Jr.
Yeah.
I'd be like, we should do a podcast, bro. Like, let me produce your podcast. Like, I'm that guy now. If I talk to you and I feel like you're saying good stuff, I'm be like, hey, I got cameras, I got mics. You should let me do a podcast for you. Like, I'm that guy.
I tell everybody to do it as well. I tell everybody to do it because people don't realize how difficult it is. So I encourage everybody. I'm like, do it, try it.
Yep.
But to do 130 episodes, it's hard to, how many, you have a lot of episodes up.
Family Room Podcast we'll be on 63 episodes this week.
So, so I'm just like, damn, are we talking about the same shit? It gets challenging.
Yeah, for sure.
But I always tell everybody to start. I'm going to just start talking.
Yep.
Express yourself. And I think it's good to just change the culture around expressing yourself. Men express themselves, but everybody. I think culturally we've had this. That's one part of social media that is super positive, is that everybody can say what they feel. And I encourage people to do it in long form. Work through a problem, work through who you are as a person over 45 minutes and like talk through it. And people are interested. People, and even if people aren't interested, you just had a cathartic experience. Yep. You just worked through some stuff. That's a lot of the time what I'm doing. I'm just working through it.
Me too.
It's just working through like a situation and exploring it myself. And
there's been sorry to cut you off. There's been so many times on the podcast where I'll know the topic of what we're gonna talk about, but I haven't really worked through all my thoughts on it and how I feel about it, and I'll like discover how I feel about it on the podcast.
For sure.
Because I like you said, like we were talking, it's like let's stop because we want everything to be raw.
Yeah.
I do the same thing with the podcast. Like I'll discover like I didn't even realize I felt that way about that until I really got to get it all out and think it and talk it all the way out loud. You know what I mean?
Man. It's a great avenue. It's a great avenue, and I love to see Black people in it. And I pay attention to the podcast scene. I really watch it, and I see how the big podcasters, grow their podcasts. They do each other's. They do each other's, and they're just promoting each other the whole time. You grow within the community. That's why I wanted to have you on.
Absolutely.
I was like, let me have
Appreciate
this man on so we can, and your YouTube channel and your Instagram is going to be right there, so people can find you right on social media.
Appreciate
but with that, we'll finish up there. But plug everything and anything, even though it'll be right there, just for the audio people listening.
Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Flix Media Network. Like I said, all the shows that I do, I have On the Mic with Michael Flix, I have Family Room Podcast, I have Link Up with Michael Flix. I'm going to be getting that Day in the Life series going, Along for the Grind. So yeah, man, subscribe to my YouTube channel. My content page on Instagram is Michael Flix. My personal page is I am Mike Rohn. Is that everything I do? Yeah, that's everything I do, man.
Man,
that's all.
He's fucking out here, bro. I love it, man. I love it. Just, do people even know? Like, when people ask you what you do, what do you say?
I just tell them I'm a content creator.
Yeah,
I just tell them I'm a content creator. And it's funny. Like I was just telling my brother the other day. Oh no, I was telling my mom just the other day. There's this guy that I met like before I started the podcast, when I literally just had one camera and I was just showing up to basketball games. Like, nobody called me to show up. I was just showing up because I wanted to get some practice. So he saw me from then until now. He sees me like all the things that I'm doing now. And it's funny, he was like, because he saw me a couple months ago when I was really getting busy, and I was like, bro, I can't wait till I get to the point where like I get some help, like when I get more money coming in and I could pay somebody to like be with me. And like now he sees all the stuff that I'm doing. He was like, bro, it's good to see you finally got that help that you were looking for. I was like, bro, I don't have any help.
No, man.
He's like, bro, there's no way you're doing all of that and you're editing all that and doing all that by yourself. I'm like, bro, I'm doing all of this by myself.
I will affirm you there, doing the editing and doing that all yourself. If people listening don't understand how hard that shit is, and that's a science. That's a science. So the fact that you're doing that all yourself and doing it on a number of platforms, that's impressive. You're spending hours.
Absolutely.
I'm lucky I have my guys who do it, and I know how much hard work it is. So that's makes it even doper that it's all self-made.
Absolutely.
That's really tight, man. So we'll wrap it up there. Thank you for coming on, dog.
Oh, my pleasure, man. I couldn't wait to come. Thank you.
All right, we out of here.
Thank you.
Vultures circling above, they all in a piece, but they don't even know my name. Won't get even to swipe for the train. Cloudy, ride to the airport, gotta get right for the plane. Custom, smell like kush, wifey hand in the tish. Yes, and I got no shame. Some line to shine, with a broke if you got no game. Waking up next to the scats, can't go home to a dame. Nah, tell themselves they're the same. Really though, who can they blame? Now I don't blame them either. They just wanna play the game and they're eager still. I don't wanna know you, I'm busy, you don't even know thyself.